All right, and welcome everyone. So happy to see you all. We do have a wonderful program today, and there's going to be probably a few more folks that are going to be joining a little later on, just so you know, Marshall. And then, as I mentioned to you, we do record all of our programs, so that's wonderful because we'll post them to our YouTube. So if you haven't already seen that or gone there, we'll send you the link, or it's in our newsletter. And so we can forward the newsletter to you with the link to your video and of course to the YouTube channel. And that's just a great way of keeping in touch with folks. And then it's a great record because we have tremendous programs like this. We want to go back and watch them later. So anyway, let's go ahead and let me share my screen. And we will start this off. Okay, so I don't think we have any guests or anything here, so it should be pretty simple to get things kicked off. But what we always do, Marshall, I don't know about your clubs, we like to just unmute ourselves on the mic with the Zoom. I'll click to keep time here, but otherwise everybody just unmutes and says it along with me. So the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Fair
to all concerned? Will it build better friendships?
Will it be
beneficial
to all concerned?
That sounded great to me. Unless somebody's hiding behind the camera, I don't see any guests here. All right, just want to make sure I don't speak too soon. If anybody's hiding behind the camera, Connie, let me know. And Gael's joined us. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
For announcements, we don't have a lot of announcements this week, basically the same as last week. We got the district conference coming up. So if you're around and you want to swing by all means, Jula and I will be there on Friday to have the, the table set up. Can't think of the name off the top of my head, but we'll have the table set up and we're going to be talking about our projects and how people can get involved with us and how they can engage with our group. And then I'll leave on Sunday, probably around 11 o'clock or so. So just a heads up for you guys. This is the last meeting that we'll have. I guess I haven't done the math, but I think next Monday, right? Is that 24th next Monday? Yeah. So don't forget about World Polio Day. We've talked about how we can get involved. For just to give feedback to the group based on this little slide here, we actually had two guests set up recurring donations, nothing to do with our club, but based on this slide just being put up here in the last couple of weeks, we have two guests that came back and emailed me and said, hey, we put our regular donations in, it's billing against our credit card, it's really easy to do, you set it up to automatically bill every month, and it's a fantastic cause. Obviously all your dollars are matched, so it's a wonderful opportunity to get involved, especially at this time. All right. There is a Monday in the park. So if you haven't already heard, at Riverside Park, at Riverside Park, Memorial Island, Vero Oceanside is putting on a little shindig. So if you're interested and you have the time, Monday evening, I might be there. I'm going to try to make it. It's a little bit of a drive, and with my two boys, it might be a little challenging. But if you're around or you feel like making the drive, it could be a great afternoon of fun. You can find more information. Just hit their Facebook page, the Vero Oceanside Facebook page, and you can see the event with all the details there. Any other announcements for the good of the order? Good. All right. So I will fill in with our Sergeant at Arms today. I didn't do laundry, so normally, Marshall, I wear my Rotary shirt, and I didn't do laundry today. I don't leave the house, so I forgot to put on my pin. So I'm going to put my pin on now. I'm going to find myself. So if you're not wearing a pin today or a Rotary logo, go ahead and drop your happy bucks. There you go. I see Craft's got his. There you go. Put on your pin. If you don't have your pin, find you a buck to get things kicked off.
Yeah, I forgot mine. I don't know where I put mine. I know it's around somewhere. It's probably my jewelry.
So I keep forgetting. So I'm gonna hold myself accountable there. So if you don't have that, Venmo is the way we do it. Marshall, just letting you know, just kind of by and by. Venmo is how we usually do things. You can send a check. Some folks just kind of pile it up and do a one-time transfer since we're all online. With that, let's go ahead and get over to birthdays and anniversaries.
Well, I don't have a birthday, but I happen to have attended a wedding, and I know she's on a client call right now. Last weekend, Alana got married, and I got to go to the wedding. And sadly, she's muted, but I have $1 for that. I should have $5 for that. It was great fun. And they laughed and giggled the whole way through the ceremony. It was really sweet.
Oh, goodness. That's wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, we can't wait to see pictures.
And Ailish looks gorgeous in her dress. And it was great fun.
Excellent. Excellent. So that is, it's kind of an anniversary, right? Like it's the 0 anniversary. Like it's the. All right. Let's see. Let's keep the positive at the end. So let's do sad bucks.
I'm
glad we're not sad. That's great news.
Anything sad today? How about football teams losing or soccer teams losing or any of that? Roy Cloudsdale, you don't have a soccer team that's won or lost or anything?
I'm Chelsea won. I think Manchester United drew.
It's still a point.
It's a point.
That's the great thing about football, about soccer. There's always some complexity there. It's not just a W or an L.
Yeah, well, I was in England and my friend was there. He lives in New Orleans these days, but I didn't get to meet up with him. But we had a conversation, and he said he was there to watch U.S. football,
That's
like
right.
Vikings versus the New Orleans Saints, right? I can't believe they're diluting their sports here with U.S. football, but as much as they love their rugby and their soccer, it was pretty funny.
They're adding more games, and they might eventually have a team there. Might have a 4-team division in Europe.
Yep, and that's going to say that the Saints just played in London. 3 weeks ago? They just played in London, and then I guess Arizona's going to play in Germany. I think they're going to have 2 German games, a UK game, and I feel like there's one other I can't place off the top of my head either. But Mexico, of course, Mexico. Yeah, they always play in Mexico. Anyway, okay. How about Happy Bucks? Got to have some good news. I guess I'll kick it off. I'll just throw $1 in because it's not fair to all concerned, but I'm sure happy that Alabama lost.
I'll contribute $1 for that too.
I'll pay a happy $1 for that.
That's
Any
two.
Any other Happy Bucks?
Yeah,
Yes.
I've got one. My oldest granddaughter got engaged this last weekend. They were in Arcadia National Park up in Maine, and
Wow.
on top of some hill, and he popped the question. So she was all excited, got to us this weekend. We talked to her this morning, and I guess they're planning it for a year or so from now in the fall. So yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations.
To my granddaughter, Haley.
Wow. That's amazing. Congratulations. I'm assuming it's great news. He says a happy buck, wasn't a sad
Oh,
buck, so I'm sure.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely great news. Yeah. $5 happy one on that one.
Very good. Mike, I see your hand there.
Yeah, kind of a combo. After 43 great years in Melbourne Beach, we've decided to join our daughter in Poulsbo, Washington, first year.
Wow.
So I will still be a member of this Rotary Club, but we've been in Melbourne Beach for 43 years.
Wow. That's a big decision. That's a big
Oh no,
change.
you're moving. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We'll have to get together several times before you go.
I never see you.
I know.
You're always in Europe.
Not always in Europe.
You say you'll call me back when you get home.
Well,
You never
So-
called back.
So Mike, you said the year you're going to be gone? That's quick. Huh?
Yes, we're going to put the house on the market either the 1st of December or 1st of January. Our daughter's family's coming for Christmas. So otherwise we'd sell it sooner probably.
Wow. So are you saying you're gonna host a packing party / Rotary social?
Probably
I'll come
not.
Pack up for you.
I'll come after the packing is done, but not to pack. No.
We meet with the movers tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Well, good luck. That's great. Congratulations. And Marshall, his neighbor who can't make it today, Ed Leff, he just moved to Colorado. So Yeah.
He hasn't
Yeah.
moved yet. We just saw each other this morning.
Oh, okay.
He taught us Tai Chi class.
Ah, okay. Okay.
So Marshall, on this call, we have Roger, who's in, I want to say Boca Raton. Is that right?
Palm Beach Gardens. Yeah.
Palm Beach Gardens.
Palm Beach Gardens.
Yeah.
Sam is in Port St. Lucie. Michael's in Melbourne Beach. Roy is in Noonan, Georgia. I'm in Cocoa, Florida. Dave Andrews is in Cocoa, Florida. Alana is in DC area. Gael is in France. And Denise is not here today, I guess, but she would normally be calling in from the Netherlands. Finola is actually in the country, but I'm gonna text her and see where she is today. So she lives in Ireland though, so we're quite a diverse group.
That's fantastic.
Any other happy bucks before we turn it over? Great. All right. Well, Marshall, my apologies for not having an introduction for you. There was a sick coworker with Denise, and that's why she's not here. Susie, to answer your question, one of her coworkers got sick, so I guess she got to work late. She's a nurse. But can I turn it over to you, or would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. That'd be fantastic. No worries at all. Yeah. So thank you for having me. It's great to be here. Julia, thank you for the invitation to visit your club. My name is Marshall Butler. I'm the Zone 34 Public Image Coordinator for Zone 34, which covers Georgia, Florida, the Caribbean, and several countries in South America. Today, I want to talk to you about telling a Rotary story. We're going to roll that into World Polio Day, and then wrap up with some talk about my public image team and how we support Zone 34 with strategies, tactics, and initiatives to help clubs tell their story. So my Rotary story started in 1945. 1945, my dad was 4 years old, and dad was diagnosed with polio. So when my dad was diagnosed with polio, his right arm went completely limp. He lost all control of his right arm. Dad immediately was quarantined, spent the next year of his life in hospital, completely isolated. The only time he saw his mom, his dad, his sister was behind a glass window. Imagine that, being 4 years old and completely isolated from your family. Being 4 years old and being surrounded by kids that had polio much worse than my father did. He didn't have to go into an iron lung, but imagine being 4 years old and hearing the whirring and the buzzing of those iron lungs going constantly and being alone without your family. Dad went home after about a year, and about 5 years later, went back to hospital, and they were going to try to take a muscle out of his leg and put it into his arm so he could have some use of that appendage for the rest of his life. I can tell you, unfortunately, that surgery did not work. And my dad has spent the next 77 years with that arm hanging by the side of his body. But there's one thing I can tell you about my father, and that is my dad has persevered. My dad taught us that there's three things. You work hard, you support your family, and you support your community. And so dad owned a dry cleaners, owned and operated, didn't miss a day of work. We sold it back in 2008. Dad ran that cleaners for 53 years, did not miss a single day of work. Used that one strong left arm to do everything. So dad worked hard. He provided for our family. Our family had what we needed. Wasn't a lavish lifestyle, but he took care of the family. He persevered, he worked through it and took care of our family. But the thing that strikes me the most about my father was that he supported our community. If there was a need in the community, if there was, the church needed something, the high school, anyone in the community needed anything, my father was there to support the community. So my father taught me service above self. Dad wasn't a Rotarian, but he had a heart of a Rotarian in that he taught us service above self. I can tell you about 5 years after Dad went to hospital and had that surgery that didn't work, we know that Jonas Salk stunned the world with an announcement that he had developed a vaccine that was safe, potent, and effective. And immediately the course of history was changed. It was the largest clinical trial of its kind at the time. And after that, millions of kids got that sugar cube and got that polio vaccine. And we haven't heard about a case of polio until recently, since the late 70s. And I can tell you, growing up, I grew up in the 70s. Many of my peers did not know anything about polio because there was a vaccine and it didn't devastate like it did when my dad was growing up. But I can tell you that our family knew the power and the devastation of polio firsthand. And so I can tell you that my dad's personal story and his battle with polio and his perseverance really parallels Rotary's. So for the last 30 years, Rotary has persevered. And we have said we're going to stick to it until the end, and we're going to see the end of polio. We're going to eradicate polio. We've been at it for 30 years. We know we're so close, but we also know that it still remains just a plane ride away. We in Rockland County, New York, just recently, we had the one case of polio, and now they're finding samples in the sewage. And now folks they're learning a lot about polio and recognizing that vaccines do work, and that we need to make sure that we continue to vaccinate our children. And we need to double down on our efforts to eradicate polio in Afghanistan and Pakistan. We're so close. And I've heard that up until this latest case, a lot of the trends, a lot of the things that Rotary saw in terms of the analytics showed that the signs in Pakistan and Afghanistan were very similar to what they were seeing in India right before India was declared polio free. And no one thought that India would ever be polio free, but it happened, and it can happen. And so that's why, as we go into World Polio Day on October 24th, this Monday, it's so important that we all tell the story of Rotary and fighting polio, and tell folks that maybe there's a greater awareness of polio now because of the cases in Rockland County. We had a great chance to tell the Rotary story around polio during the COVID pandemic, because we know that vaccines work. It's been proven. And so I encourage you all to be sure to tell the story of Rotary and eradicating polio on World Polio Day. Do whatever you can. And you see, it's not just on October 24th. Past President John Germ will tell you every day is World Polio Day. Every day we need to be telling these stories, telling about the impact of Rotary and what Rotarians do both in our local communities and around the world. So it's so important to tell those Rotary stories. Now, I do have another fun story, kind of a crazy story to tell, and it relates to the power of public image and how we can use public image to tell the story of Rotary. And so I served as district governor in 2016 and 2017. That was the year that John Germ served as president. Back about 3 years before that, John had just been named president nominee, and he was going to come to Jacksonville to meet with Shad Khan, who owns the Jacksonville Jaguars. And as you all know, every president has a jacket that they select for their class of district governors to wear. Typically, a president says, you're going to wear this jacket. So John was coming to Jacksonville to meet with Shad Khan. Shad's from Pakistan, to see if Shad would contribute to the polio efforts in his homeland of Pakistan. And so afterwards, the folks up in Evanston at RI headquarters said, well, we have John coming in as president. We have this guy in Jacksonville that's going to be serving as district governor alongside him. It'd be a good idea to get these two guys together for dinner. I'd never met John Germ before. So I'm getting dressed, getting ready to go to dinner to meet with John Germ. And as is my tradition, I was putting on a pair of Madras pants. They call them fancy pants. It's just, I enjoy wearing the Madras pants. And so my wife looked at me and she said, you can't put on those pants. You're going to meet the future president of Rotary International. You cannot wear those pants. And I said, what could possibly go wrong? Who cares? It's just, we're going to dinner. So John is a good old boy from Chattanooga, Tennessee, dry sense of humor, sharp wit. And so I opened the door to go to that restaurant, and there is John Germ looking at me just head to toe. And he glances at me and he says, so you're going to serve as governor the year I'm president? I said, yes, sir, I am. He said, well, boy, them breeches ain't going to match my jacket. And I said, yes, sir, President John, I understand that. We'll come up with an idea. Maybe we'll find another pair of pants that we can wear that will match your jacket. So later on, we were going to the International Convention in Brazil. And before that, a Rotarian in DeLand, Florida, owns an embroidery shop, and he made this pair of pants. It has the Rotary logo all over it. It's a pair of khaki pants, and he put the Rotary logo all over the pants. And so I wore them, and we were at a reception for future governors with John. John saw them, loved them, and said, hey, you got to get up on stage. I want everyone to see these. You need to go into worldwide production of the Rotary pants. And I said, well, we'll see what we can do about that, John. So a couple months later, I'm in San Diego at the International Assembly, where all district governors get trained to serve as governor. And I'm at a polio reception. And John walks over to me and says, boy, where are my breeches at? I said, well, John, we haven't made the pants yet because the RI branding and licensing folks don't like the idea of Rotary logos all over a pair of pants. They say they don't like the look. And The wheel is a little bit, it's not quite close enough to the word Rotary in the mark of excellence or the master brand. So he calls over his aide, past director Ron Bobie, and says, Ron, call them guys up in Evanston and straighten them out. Because he got it. He said, dadgummit, they can't see the forest for the trees. And he recognized that wearing a pair of pants with Rotary logos all over them, while it's not conventional, it is a conversation starter, and it's an opportunity to tell these Rotary stories. I'll be standing in line at the grocery store or pumping gas. And actually, I was at a business meeting, and this lady, it was at the Chamber of Commerce, this lady elbows me and she goes, I like your pants. I said, well, thank you. I appreciate that. She said, no, I really like your pants. She said, I was a global ambassadorial scholar 20 years ago to Nicaragua, and it was a literacy project. And so I love Rotary. And I said, well, what club are you in now? And she said, well, I'm not, work-life balance, small kids. I haven't been able to get back to Rotary. And so I told her about our alumni program and how she could stay connected to Rotary through the alumni program that just meets once a quarter to keep these past scholars, these exchange students, interactors back, keep them connected to Rotary until they find that moment that in time that they can become Rotarians again. And so I encouraged her to do that. But again, people see the wheel on the side of a road or on a building or a plaque in a garden, but those are inanimate objects. They cannot tell the Rotary story. And so just like you find yourself, Sam, for not wearing your pin, it's up to us to wear these pins, crazy pants, or whatever to tell the Rotary story. And actually, I'll stand up here. Let's see if you can see. I am wearing the shorts today. So I did wear it in honor of you guys. The camera's not quite the right angle, but they're fun to wear. And they do start conversations. And actually, we just placed another order. I think we sold about 250 units of these. We just placed an order for some more shorts and some skirts for the ladies. So we have a good time. But again, they really give us that opportunity to tell the Rotary story. So quickly, I want to tell you about my team. We have a team of folks that are separated or spread across our zone. We have a lady up in Georgia. We have one down in Southwest Florida. We have a person down in Trinidad, and actually we have Michael Wallstrom, who's out of 6930, past district ever Michael Wallstrom. We just added him to our team. And so it's a team of Rotarians that it's our purpose to help Rotary clubs and districts understand how to tell the Rotary story. So we do monthly webinars. We have one next week. It's called How the Heck Do You Do That? And we talk about some of the technologies that we use to kind of operate our own team. People are always saying, well, how'd you do that? We use tools like Canva, MailChimp, Zapier, a lot of these tools to automate these processes that allow us to tell Rotary stories, but also to make our work so it's not too much work. We like to streamline it. So we're doing a webinar next week. We're going to we say we're pulling back the curtain to show some of these technologies that we use that are very accessible. You can't break them. And they are super effective in helping Rotary clubs and districts tell their Rotary stories to broadcast it very broadly. We have a website. It's elevaterotary.org. And on there, you'll see all of our past webinars, all of our past slide decks. We do a monthly task for clubs to help encourage them to do something every month to promote and to handle their public image. We find that a lot of clubs, early in the year, they're very motivated to tell the Rotary story. So they do a whole lot in July and August, maybe a little bit in September, but then it goes kind of quiet in October, November, December. Maybe in January, the president says, hey, are we going to get that citation for public image this year? And then there's a lot more work in February, March, and April to make sure that we qualify for the citation. And then, yes, we got the citation. But what happened in November, December, and January? We know that consistency is key when it comes to public image and social media and communications in general. And so that's why we've devised this plan to kind of do this monthly task. That way we can constantly be encouraging folks to do something every month for public image. The other great thing it does is it provides artifacts. So we don't want to have a public image chair one year that was just lights out. The next year, the new person doesn't know what the heck to do. There are things that they can hand off now to that next public image chair to help make them successful. And just like membership, public image is the responsibility of everyone in the club. It's everyone's responsibility to help tell the Rotary stories, to talk about the projects that your club is doing, talk about the projects that Rotary is doing around the world. It's everyone's responsibility to tell these stories. And we say that you're not, it's not wrong to tell the Rotary story. I've heard so many people say, well, we just kind of do our work and we stay in the shadows. Well, I can tell you that President John has said that if we do not leverage, once we do eradicate polio, because we will eradicate polio, I am confident of that. But once we do eradicate polio, if we do not leverage that success to grow our club, our organization, then we have wasted a tremendous opportunity. This is something that's only happened once before in the history of man. And it is not being boastful to talk about our work eradicating polio. So it's not boastful to tell the Rotary story at all. So with that, just want to leave you with a quick call to action. And that's, please be sure that you share something on Monday on one of your channels, or maybe just tell a friend about Rotary and the fight to eradicate polio. Please do something on Monday. Maybe go to that picnic to help others understand this fight that we've been a part of for 30 years. But also, don't just use October 24th as a day to tell the story. Use every day to find those opportunities to tell what this great organization that every one of this club, every one of you on this call today, you all love this organization. You all have that Rotary moment when you went from a club member to a Rotarian. And I encourage you to think about those moments and to share those, because those are what make Rotary powerful. And those are what allows us to grow Rotary, to do more, and to make a difference in this world. So with that, if there's any questions, be happy to take them, but it's been a pleasure to be with you all. And thank you for your support and everything that you do for Rotary.
Thank you, Marshall. Thank you so much. Do you have a link for the pants, by the way?
If you go to elevaterotary.org, it's at the bottom of the page.
Okay.
Here, I'm going to put it in the chat. There you go. Yeah.
And are these officially branded as, are these fancy pants, or what are these?
These would fall into the category of fancy pants. Yes, I think so. They're not plain khaki pants.
Awesome. Awesome.
But yeah, they're great for service projects, for just being out and about and telling the Rotary story.
Fantastic. Thank you. Any questions from the group?
Sadly, I did have a question, but I've completely forgotten what it was now. Give me a few minutes, it'll come to me.
Well, if you want, you can. We have a form on the website. If you have any questions, or if there's any way I can help you guys, please go to the website and fill out that form.
Well, one of the comments I did want to make is I've been so disappointed, and I do think they're trying to change that. But Rotary International has done a terrible job of promoting all the polio, all what we've done in polio. And for years, the World Health Organization got all the credit for it.
WHO, UNICEF, Bill and Melinda Gates. You can't read a story about polio without seeing Bill and Melinda Gates. And they did yesterday pledge another $1.2 billion. And I get it, money talks. But when you think about the sacrifices, the human sacrifices that Rotarians, that are vaccination workers have made, it is just so important that we tell these stories, because without the determination of Rotary, the infrastructure that Rotarians put together to make sure these the money's one thing, but getting those 2 drops into a kid's mouth, that's where the magic is. That's where all the work is. Anyone can stroke a check, but it's doing that. And so I think you're right. I think it's so important that we continue to pound this drum, letting people know that Rotary was the backbone behind this massive effort.
Yeah, thank you.
I see Julie's hand up as well.
Me? Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay. Marshall, quick question for you. Susie, I agree with you. I think Rotary International as a whole doesn't do a good job advertising what we do. And I think they leave it more up to clubs. I'm not sure why. Maybe you know, Marshall, but my second half of that is on your screen when you're speaking, I can see the logo, the Rotary logo with the Imagine theme. How do you get that on your Zoom call if it's not a background?
Yeah. So again, I know Rotary can do better, and I know they recognize it. I know past President John Germ heads up the Polio task force. Past Director Robert Hall is on there, and actually Kim Walden from my team, my public image team, is going to be joining the Polio Now coordinators around the world And her sole purpose is to help them tell that story. So she's rolling off of the public image team on June 30. And then she's going to become a coordinator, an In Polio Now coordinator. And her sole purpose is to help folks tell that story through social media and other channels. The logo on my screen, that's actually a tool that I use. It's called Camo Studio. And what I'm doing is I'm using an old iPhone as my webcam. iPhones have a 4K camera. They have really nice cameras. And this allows you to tether your old iPhone to your computer to use it as a webcam. And that software allows you to put overlays on your screen. So I can have the Rotary logo. I could actually put lower thirds with my name, stuff like that. So it's called Camo Studio.
Fancy, fancy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Marshall?
For what it's worth, when I was first president back in, I don't know, 84, something like that. And we had started Polio Plus, and the big hot button was, well, Harry Belafonte gets all this attention for UNICEF, who can we get to identify with Rotary? And so we got really great people. They just don't mention Rotary for Polio Plus.
Yeah, it's, we continue to be the unsung heroes, but at the end of the day, I know that we'll all just, and for me, Dad's still with us. And I'm very fortunate because I believe that my father is going to see the end of Rotary, not the end of Rotary. Oh God, no, see the end of polio in his lifetime. And so for me, that's pretty special to think about, that this disease that has just really impacted his life, to think that he could see the end of it in his lifetime would really be powerful. I can tell you that in my club, as with many clubs, when you get a Paul Harris Fellow, your first one, you're supposed to accept that one for yourself. When I got my first one, I couldn't take it for myself. I made sure that my father received that Paul Harris Fellow. So he is a Paul Harris Fellow because I wanted him to know that he was a part of this fight to eradicate polio. And so it was 2004 or 5 that he received his Paul Harris Fellowship. And since then, he's donated and given one to my sister and to a couple of others that my dad is also a personal battle. He's fighting this fight to eradicate polio himself.
On a personal note, Marshall, your father, I know a lot of people have post-polio syndrome. Has he had any battles with that?
We do see there's some deterioration neurologically with Dad. He does get like these tremors and these twitches and stuff like that. So we are starting to see a little bit of that with Dad.
Yeah, it's horrible, horrible disease. Yeah, sorry to hear that. And that was my question. I finally remembered what I was going to ask.
There you go.
Well, fantastic. I can't thank you enough, Marshall, because this is perfect. We now have content to share on the Facebook page. So I'm really excited to put this video up. It'll be perfectly timed, right? So we have basically a week, 6 days to kind of ramp up. So thank you very much for not just educating us, but for also kind of helping us to produce some really good high quality content. We'll post that and share the link with you. And I'm excited to try to get my marketing done.
There you go.
I'm not very good at it, but I downloaded all the materials from my Rotary. So I've got some images and some things to kind of put out there. So I'm gonna do my best to put those out at the appropriate time on our LinkedIn and our Facebook. I didn't ask, but I assume that there's an Elevate Rotary social media presence as well.
We mostly keep it. We have some folks that maintain the Zone 33-34 Facebook group. Really, the purpose of Elevate Rotary is just to be a one-stop shop resource for just to help people. A lot of times people miss a meeting. No, we shouldn't say that, and become public image chairs. And so we don't want it to be scary. We want them to know that it's not an insurmountable task, and that we have resources for them. If you do go to elevaterotary.org, I mentioned the monthly task. The task for this month is actually, we've asked clubs to tell us about what they did to promote World Polio Day. and to record that and report that. And so again, we're just trying to provide that framework, provide that roadmap to make it very easy for clubs to every month think about, well, what can I do this month to tell the Rotary story? So this month it is a World Polio Day task. So you can go there and register you can post a link to this recording and say, this is what we did for World Polio Day. We posted this to our Facebook page, and it's kind of like extra credit for getting help from the coordinator, I guess.
Well, I'm glad you made that comment, Marshall, about someone missed a meeting, because I was just about to say, we really need to have a public image person and maybe someone to help Sam with, because Sam is handling all the social media stuff by himself. And we need someone, but looking at the faces on this, of the few people on this call, I'm going, yeah, I know Roy Cloudsell can't handle the technology. I know Dave Andrews can't, Mike Holliday can't, George Becker can't. So I'm eliminating you guys. Jen Reed probably could, Gael could. So there's a few people I'm tossing names out to see who's step up to do this, but
well, I have to say shout out to Roger. So Roger, not only is Roger super techie with lots of super techie educational experience, he's also got a lot of business and marketing insights as well. So he actually volunteered to help out with some of those things. So thanks, Roger.
awesome.
Roger's fantastic.
Did you know that you volunteered to do that? Or was that just news to you too?
Hey, but I said it's the responsibility of everyone in the club, not just Roger.
Of course.
Susie, you're on the hook too.
Somebody spearhead it, Marshall.
That's right. You do need the point person that can kind of coordinate and herd the cats, but yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's good to know. I need to add them to the masthead of the newsletter.
There you go.
These are public image person.
I don't, just for the record, I don't think we talked about that far. I just know that. So Roger's just helping me. He's just helping me with getting content up and making sure that our Facebook and our, and our social media presence is interesting and fun and cool links, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Please check your logo. Make sure the logo is correct. There are no Rotary police, but there are logo police.
Oh, yes, there are. Yes, there are logo police. I ran across my old club a couple of times. Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else. What I can do, if everyone's agreeable, we can just thank Marshall for his time. We can stop the recording. We can close the meeting here, and then we can just leave the call open if we want to, have a little social time. Marshall, what do you think about that?
It sounds good. No, appreciate it again. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we'll go ahead and close it with our Rotary motto: service above self.
Service above self.
Thanks, everybody. If you want to
Marshall,
drop,
thanks for coming.
you can drop.
Appreciate it very much.
All right. Take care, y'all. Enjoyed being with you all.
Thank you.